The FDIC has shut down another bank this year, 2025. The question is, will it be like what we saw in 2023, 2022? Around that time when the FDIC was shutting down all kinds of banks, and we were in a banking crisis. Now, what's interesting to me is that there's a lot of optimism out there, but there's not a lot of data to support the optimism in the economy. We're going to go over this right now. This story's out of Daily Hodl. And real quick, if you want to change your financial situation, you want to invest like nobody invests in real estate because honestly, they don't believe it's true and they don't realize how easy it is. I'll put a link down to the combo course for Independence Day, and then the price is going to double after this sale on the Tax Lien and Tax Deeds course. You can learn how to do all of these auctions online from your home in your pajamas. And yes, make money. It shows up in the mailbox. It's happening for all my students right now, or at least the ones that are putting it to work. You can't just sit there and watch a course and all of a sudden become rich. You actually got to put the work in. Type 1 if you agree with that. All right, it says here the FDIC, or the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, has just announced the second bank failure of 2025. Regulators say the Santa Ana National Bank has been shut down and foul play at the small Texas lender is suspected. Now, what's interesting to me is in the beginning of every cycle, right, economic downturn, there's always people out there warning about it. And then there's always people, and the majority of people, which I believe are most of the time sheep, because financial cycles happen, economic cycles, booms and busts happen every 7 to 10 years, right? And then every 50 and 100-year cycles, out of those are really big ones. The other ones, they're just recessions, right? There is guaranteed to be a recession every 7 to 10 years, only if the Fed tries to push it off with interest rate manipulation, but it really can only manipulate it so much, like what we saw a few years ago when for the last, 10 years or so before that, you saw super ultra low rates where really literally it was at like a quarter to a half a point for the Fed funds rate. All right, you can only do that for so long until inflation starts to increase, like we saw 3 years ago. And then the banks get stressed because people stop borrowing, the velocity of money slows down, and then you have yourself a good old-fashioned crash. So it says here, once, and this is a quote from the FDIC, once further information is available, the FDIC will consider whether to provide uninsured depositors an advance dividend, and will provide information at that time. Suspected fraud contributed to the failure of the bank and estimated cost to the deposit insurance fund. It says the bank has reported $53.8 million in total deposits, and the FDIC says about $2.8 million of these deposits exceeded its insurance limits at the time of publishing. The first bank failure of 2025 happened in January when regulators shut down Pulaski Savings Bank in Chicago. The FDIC Office of Inspector General later said the lender collapsed because it had $20.7 million in deposit liabilities that were unaccounted for, which left the bank critically undercapitalized. Now, here's the thing. I believe that there are a lot of banks out there in the country right now that are critically undercapitalized. Type 1 if you agree with that. Type 1 if you're of the thinking, you're like, you know what, I think that we're just on the beginning cusp of something bad. Type 2 if you're like, nah, I don't think there's anything wrong. I think banks are fine. They're totally solvent, and I believe the government. And I'm curious how many 2s are out there, because that is a certain subsect of the population, and quite frankly, it's a majority of the population. That's why I like to be a contrarian. I prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and then when the worst does happen every 7 to 10 years, I capitalize on it. That's why I'm pressing this tax lien and tax deed investing so hard, because this is the cycle. This is when all of these auctions are hitting the market in droves, to the point where there's so many of these things hitting the market. A lot of them are going over the counter afterwards because there's no bids. Nobody's bidding on these things, and people are picking them up and making instant cash. It's absolutely insane. But this is the thing. I think there's still so many people that have TDS, and I can't even say the phrase online, because if I ever want to do something with this video, they won't let me do it if I actually say the guy's name. This is how bad it is. They say, hey, you can't push this video out anymore because it has to do with interference of when you go down and put a little piece of paper in a box. I'm not joking. That's what's happening right now. But we have that kind of syndrome on people that can't stand the guy, and we got the same syndrome on people that have turned the guy into a god. This is literally where people are completely losing their minds. I hope you're not losing your mind. The economy is not strong, okay? People are in more debt today than ever before. Student loans, home loans, car loans, all that stuff, right? They're sitting there. I know people that go out and buy watches like this, and they gotta go and they pay payments. Who would pay payments on a watch? Sad thing, most people. It's true. What are you gonna do? Well, I'll tell you what you're gonna do. You don't be like them, and you invest into this crash. You don't sit there on the sidelines and watch it in fear. You know, a lot of people I notice on Facebook Marketplace are selling crazy awesome stuff now, and I've just dipped my toes into some collectibles, right? There's already art pieces. Okay, let me get. There are people selling incredible art pieces right now. The prices are still up there, but people are going to get more and more desperate as they are going to lose their home or lose their car, and they go, I got to get to work somehow. I'm already seeing a massive onslaught of construction equipment, talking excavators, skid steers, front loaders. I just picked up I'll give you an example. I just picked up a brand new dump trailer that the Caterpillar company picked up for, they paid what, 14 grand. I paid 8 for it from them. It was used about 4 times. It has a handful of scratches in the bed. Gorgeous trailer. They are selling their entire fleet. Do you want to know why? Because they can't rent them. They just sold like 25 dump trailers, and they got 25 incredible tilt bed equipment trailers, these 14,000 pound trailers. They're selling because nobody's renting, because the economy is contracting as we speak. But because it's in the beginning throes of this, most people don't see it. I want you to understand this. Just like I came out before lumber exploded in price, said, get ready, lumber's gonna explode in price, and it did. Then I came out and said, hey, go refinance your house because interest rates are gonna skyrocket. Then I came out and warned about inflation, and all these things happened. When you look back on this big macro picture, I'm telling you right now, the economy is crashing, but it takes a long time. And for anybody that would ever comment, and this has got to be one of the craziest stupid comments in the world, it hasn't happened yet. Copy. Look back in history. It happens every 7 to 10 years on a recession. On the larger scale, every 50 and 100 year cycles in that recession cycle is the big one. We are in a 100-year cycle. And just to remind everybody, what happened 100 years ago in 1918? What happened? Please type it. What happened in 1918 that set all of the world on fire and went from the Depression of 1920 to the Great Depression? Anybody remember? A flu. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for hitting it. Thank you, Doug. 1918, a flu hit. And I want to remind you, if you go look on the internet for photos of that event, there's about six different photos. And you know what? One of the most famous photos, you'd think there'd be a lot of photos of that event. You'd think there'd be photos of bodies lining up, but there wasn't. Very similar to what we just witnessed, right? And if you look not on the Gregorian calendar, but a different calendar, you'll see they line up those timelines. Absolutely astonishing to me of when COVID happened. And then it led to the Depression of 1920. But because of financial instruments, technological advancements in financial instruments, they were able to print money and get it out digitally, where they couldn't move it fast enough to get into the public, which created the 1920 Depression. Most people don't even know that exists. And then that money printing scheme led to the Roaring 20s into the Great Depression. That's where we are right now. We went through the mini crash in 2020. We all witnessed it, right? We watched the whole economy come to a blazing halt, and then a ton of money printing, and then an explosion in inflation and in money supply, and you're about to witness the Great Depression. The only question is, are you going to do something about it? I hope you do. And if you want to learn how to buy real estate at the craziest low prices with tax deeds, or if you want to learn how to make stupid amounts of guaranteed interest, and that's not me saying it, it's the government, because they said guaranteed you're getting paid first back, because if the owner doesn't pay off that tax lien, guess what? We're going to auction it, and the starting bid is whatever's owed on the property for the tax lien. Who cares about the mortgage? This is the most insane way to invest. So if you want to be rich, you want to be able to buy things and not go pay payments for them, yeah, go do this. It's incredible. It's an insane way to learn how to real estate invest, and I'm going to be meeting people all over the country. As a matter of fact, you could do it anywhere in the world. Sad thing, anyone in the world can buy tax liens in America. It's true. You can do it. It's insane. Go look at it. Links down below. The price is going to double soon. I hope you got something out of this. The banks are in trouble. I don't care what you say. And you know what? Here's something else that's really interesting right now. There's a fight between the Federal Reserve and the President of the United States that most people don't even understand. Because, yeah, the President gets to appoint someone to the Federal Reserve. But guess what? That person still works for the Federal Reserve. It's a private bank. So if you think for a second they're going to give up their position of the king money printer just because the President wants the interest rates lowered, knowing that if the Federal Reserve does, it's going to cause hyperinflation and everyone's going to lose faith in the Federal Reserve and it'll be destroyed, you got another thing coming. Most people don't even know how that works. That's all right. I'm just the economic ninja. Just a dude with a bro hawk and a dream. That's a dream to make 1 million people millionaires. All right, with that being said, the economic ninja, there we go, is out.